Certainly in the publicly released polling that we've seen, affordability is a top of mind issue for people right now, and all the parties do polling and presumably come back with similar results. So it's not surprising then that your party and the Liberal Party are trying to attack those areas where they can. I mean, I don't think the provincial government can do much about the price of oranges that come from California.
No, but the provincial government can do a lot about the cost of hydro. I mean,
sure.
And obviously, I mean, we have seen the high cost of hydro, which is directly related to policies that this Liberal government created. With the privatization of the Green Energy Act, the Auditor General in 2016 came out with a report stating that Ontario had overpaid by $37 billion. So, I mean, that's a direct result of this Liberal government not doing their basic due diligence on energy policy. They went on to sell off, of course, Hydro One.
Your party says you'll buy it back now.
Yeah, so our plan is to bring back Hydro One because we believe hydro is a public service. We believe that the revenue that was generated by Hydro One when it was public was important to the infrastructure, the social infrastructure of the province. And we have a plan to reinvest all dividends, which is about $300 million, $320 million every year back into regaining control of our public utility. Kathleen Wynne had no business selling it. She had no mandate to do so. And it will, in the long run, be very costly to future generations. It's just fiscally irresponsible.
So given that they raised $9 billion when they sold, I think, 60% of it, your plan requires it's over time. You're not going to go out into the market.
Well, it's the damage is done. Like, let's be very clear. And that $9 billion was really interesting. I mean, you know, a majority of it was really just to create this illusion that they had balanced the budget, or as the finance minister slayed the deficit. But we're right back where we started from, and that's what the Financial Accountability Officer has stated. And he's an independent officer of the legislature. The Auditor General has called into question the finances and the accounting reporting measures that this government has taken into account. And so I mean, the where we are right now in the province of Ontario, and I feel it at the doors, actually, is that people are genuinely concerned about where we are going. And so it was really important for us to put out a plan that would address those affordability issues that people face. And those hydro bills, that's a very tangible issue, and it's very different from the 2014 election when, you know, we were talking gas plants. We're talking $1 billion in gas plants, or Orange, or e-health. Those were large numbers, but what people understand each and every day is that when they look at their hydro bill, they see that they're trying to conserve, and they see that that's not making a difference. And so the dynamic of this election, I would argue, is going to be very different than the 2014. And if 80% of the people in this province want change, we want to give them an option for that change.
It looks like at a high level that the NDP and the Liberals are going after the same policy areas, certainly the same themes, albeit with different implementation levels and numbers. Is the NDP strategy that, you know, there seems to be an issue of voter fatigue? They want change. The 15 years of Liberal, even though this Premier's been the Premier for, I think, 5, that, you know, is your party then saying to people, if you like all of that stuff that they're talking about, but you're sick of them, vote for us, and you get the same stuff?
It's actually, I think it's more than strategy, and it really is, you know, us coming to the table with a plan that is actionable. And I will tell you that people are not believing what Kathleen Wynne is saying. They don't. So it's not really a question of us trying to beat them at some sort of game. We've gone to the people. We've said, what are your priorities? We've looked at the projections for the long-term budget in the province of Ontario. We're looking at strategically trying to invest to make a difference, also on the revenue side around job creation. And so this is a fully costed out platform. I'm pretty sure Doug Ford will not be doing the same. He's indicated that it's not exactly necessary. And the Liberals have not released their full platform yet. So I'll be taking this to the door this weekend. I'll be having honest and straightforward conversations with the people of Waterloo. Good. And they are going to see their priorities reflected in this platform, and that's been a long time coming.
So a little bit of maybe inside baseball. People want their hospitals built, people want their infrastructure built, and there's always a mindfulness of cost. So we've done a fair bit of infrastructure work over the years, and I think that with the Infrastructure Ontario regime now, it's actually, I think they've actually won awards globally for how they've administered these programs. Now, the NDP platform talks about 10 years and $180 billion, which is good. I mean, certainly I think we should never stop spending on infrastructure, because then some future government has to inevitably catch up, as we've seen with subways in this city. But your party's indicating there'll be no more P3s, or what Infrastructure Ontario calls AFPs, alternative finance and procurement projects. So to us, the benefit has been explained to us as the following: that historically, some of us have been around this stuff a long time.
Sure.
Government would put out a tender, companies would bid on it, projects were inevitably late, they would come in over budget, not on time, and governments were kind of on the hook to pay, because you can't leave something 3/4 done. When they brought in this model, there was a significant amount of risk transfer, where the private sector, working together with hospital, say, administration, board of directors, and the province, they are called upon to design, build, finance, and maintain the project. So they bring the money, and it's contractual that, if that thing's
At very high interest rates, they do.
I mean, it's done largely on debt, not on equity. That is true. But if the project's due September 30th, it's due September 30th, and if it's late or goes over budget, the penalties are borne by the private sector, not the government. So there's a certain discipline built in. Why do away with that and go back to the traditional government as funder model that's proposed here?
So I mean, I think I'd go back to the Auditor General's report from 2015, where she identified that in the course of, through Infrastructure Ontario and through a number of projects that she tracked and she looked through the finances of, that she determined that the government had overspent by $8 billion. And when government is in the unique position to borrow money at very low interest rates, although I think that we all know that there is a spike that is predicted to happen. And the idea of risk transfer is really, ultimately the citizens of the province still have the risk. They still own the risk at the end of it. And not all public-private partnerships actually do come in on time and on budget. I mean, if you're looking at what's happening right now in Waterloo, I mean, we have an agreement with an operator to actually maintain and operate the LRT, and we don't have trains we don't have the other equation of that, and so things go wrong in large infrastructure projects all the time. We will be looking at, I mean, obviously Infrastructure Ontario is a long-standing agency, and it was created as an arm's length agency of the government so that they can sort of absolve themselves of the responsibility of infrastructure development, whether it's on time or whether it's above cost. Quite honestly, ultimately the government owns that responsibility, and so we fundamentally see that very different.
Okay, fair.